Today is November 18, 2013. I'm sitting here with Bob Wrider, who attended rural school, Kate Martin, who's with the University Head of Education Collections and Museums, is with us too, and so is Bob's wife, Vernette. Thank you, Bob, for doing this for us. I'm Jean Richardson. I don't know if I said that. Where and when did you attend country school?
Okay, I attended north on the Leversee Rd. That was a building on the Dunbar Farm. I lived about 3/4, probably a mile north of that building on the Leversee Rd. And during the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade years.
Where did you go to school before?
Well, I started in Boone, Iowa, and mother was divorced, so to keep my little brother and me under control, she did homework, or not housework, for people that where the wife was incapacitated or they needed extra help. So we went to several schools. Now I really don't, I couldn't list them in order. In fact, I really can't come up with them. I know about where they were.
Are these rural schools or town schools that you would have been
They were small town schools,
okay.
Like Raleigh, Iowa was one. Yeah, the only rural school I went to was this one on the Dunbar Farm.
What tasks did you have to perform before you left for school?
Well, in those days, I suppose I helped milk a bit. Now, I know I was young, but I was expected to be there, and it was all hand work. I know owner of the farm or the well, yeah, the separation was done, but the actual milking,
Okay.
Either the owner or a hired man that followed me up. I was too young really to do a good job, that sort of thing. I wasn't involved much in feeding animals.
Do you remember what you wore to school?
No, just clothes for the temperature of the day.
You don't remember any extra clothing for anything special about the extra clothing for winter?
No, just lots of layers when it was real cold.
Do you remember what time you left for school?
No, probably it was probably less, around a half mile, so it couldn't have been more than 20 minutes.
And how did you get to school?
Walk.
Did you have anyone to walk with?
Not that I remember. I don't think so. I don't think there were any farms between us except the Dunbar. And Jim would have been in our class. I don't remember him.
Did you walk with your brother? Was he going to?
Well, once he was old enough, but that would have been our last year. He was 4 years younger than me.
Do you remember anything about those walks to school?
No. Terribly cold on the wind and so on in the middle of winter, but other than that, no.
Please describe your schoolhouse and its surroundings.
Well, not very well. Of course, it had the outhouses, and it had a pot-bellied stove, the flag. It had the cursive writing thing where you push, pulled, and all that.
You're talking about signs up on the wall?
Yeah, the blackboard. But no, on the outside, in the winter, or when it was cold enough, there was a depression that froze, and all of us boys brought our skates, and we skated on it in the fall and the spring, or when it was
Just the boys. The girls didn't get to do that?
Well, the girls didn't seem to bring or have skates, I don't know. And I don't suppose there's more than either 3 or 4 of us all told.
In the school?
Boys.
Boys, okay.
Yeah.
How many girls?
Huh?
Then how many girls? Do you remember how many?
Girls, I wouldn't know.
Okay.
I think probably we've been pushing it if we'd say 10 to 12 people, 10 to 12 students.
What did you do once you arrived at school?
Well, you know, you always had your lunch bucket to put someplace, and I thought there were cubbies around for it. I don't remember. Other than that, you hung your coats up and you were ready. We always, well, you said the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm not sure whether it was at the country school where you had a little song, you know, we're all in our places with bright shiny faces. I also went to a consolidated school in Finchford, and that might have been before that.
Let's talk about how the inside of your classroom looked like.
Well, it had the stove, of course, and the alphabet in cursive writing and cards above the blackboard, and the Palmer method for cursive writing. A flag, and I don't, must have had a water bucket someplace, and probably just 1 cup in those days. And I don't remember the chairs. They probably were nailed down, and knowing what schools were like then, now partly mixed stuff up because of teaching. I was interested in this kind of thing too. There was always a group of us reciting when we were with a teacher. Now, I don't know whether that group was all 5th grade kids, say, or 3rd, 4th, and 5th, for instance. I think it was 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Did you have a Victrola?
I would guess so, but I don't know.
A piano?
And that I don't remember either.
A sand table?
A what?
Sand table.
Table? Don't think so.
What items did you have to furnish, you and your family?
Well, it seemed to me we bought the books some way, or bought used books or something. I don't really remember. I don't remember, you know, taking tablets to school, but must have.
Taking what?
Tablets.
Huh?
Pencils?
Oh, must have, but I don't remember that.
Remember the ink?
Yeah.
Tell me about the
ink.
ink.
The old ink well up and out. Yeah, I do remember that.
Tell me about that.
The country school, and that pen was the pen point you could slip into it. Yeah.
You bought your books, but you don't remember where you bought them, where you would have gone to get those.
Well, and I know there must have been used, a lot of them, so. And I really find it difficult to say we bought them, because I do remember teaching and so on that there was a real press to make school free in those days. So we may not have bought books. When I was first teaching, I don't think anybody bought books as such, and maybe not even workbooks when I first started here.
Do you remember how the teacher organized the school's days lessons?
No other than in groups of students for recitation. And her attention, I don't know that there was, well, I don't know.
Do you remember how the lessons would have varied between the grade levels, between the younger children and the older children?
I wouldn't have recognized that. I wasn't that interested. Get my work done, and that's it.
Do you remember how many were in your grade?
No, I suppose 3 or 4 at the most. You know, and I don't even remember Jim Dunbar being in our grade. Now, I should have, because he must have been there. I remember him after high school and college, well, at high school, you know.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember any of the lessons, any special activities that you got to do?
No, I don't know that I either especially liked or disliked anything except spelling.
You liked spelling too?
Disliked it.
Disliked spelling, okay.
I couldn't spell for sour apples.
Did you have a favorite subject?
Not that I know of, you know, but, you know, it was a task. You went in there and you did your best, and that was it. Maybe you didn't do your best, but you thought you did.
Do you remember any interaction with the other students during your lessons?
Well, not really. No.
Did your teacher have any helpers?
No. Well, now, what do you mean helpers? Another adult?
Another adult?
No.
Okay, but the children helped some?
Oh, yeah.
What kinds of things did the children do to help?
Well, one of the tasks was cleaning erasers towards the end of the day. I don't know, I think partly we pretty well took care of the light janitorial kinds of things. So that
Do you remember any rules that you had in your classroom?
anyway,
Rules.
no, you know, no, I don't think in those days they wrote rules on the boards. They may have.
Do you remember any discipline techniques the teacher used?
No, I don't remember anybody being all, you know, anybody getting yelled at or anything.
Do you remember any special procedures for getting to use the outhouse?
Any special what?
Procedures, what you had to do if you wanted to go outside to the outhouse?
Well, you had to raise your hand or your answer or you had problems, you know, needed help, whatever.
How did you know it was time for lunch?
Just, it was time, I don't know.
A clock
I
on the
don't know
wall.
whether we had a
Everybody had a
clock. I
clock.
don't think we had a clock. But
Really?
probably not in those days.
What would have been in your lunch pail?
Okay, what?
In your lunch pail.
Well, I do remember at times taking a fried egg sandwich. Milk. And otherwise, I suppose, peanut butter, jelly.
A fruit?
I don't know, we weren't so big on that in our family at that time. I'm sure apples were all, well, you know, were available until they were wilted or something.
A cookie?
Uh-huh.
Where did you eat your meal?
Right at our desks.
Did your lunch compare the same pretty much with what the other children were eating too?
Hardly about the same. Everybody was poor in those days, even the farmers that had the land. They were, you know, everybody was poor.
We didn't talk about that, about when you would have gone to country school.
Okay. Now let's see. I was born in 23, so I would have probably started school in 29 as a first grader, 6 years later. And another 2 years would make that 31 about. Now that must have been about right, 1931. I do remember people talking about, well, maybe you don't want to go to that stage, talking about the Great Depression, people jumping out of windows in those days, and I kept pestering people. I couldn't understand why, you know, we were all poor, why people jumped out of windows. And I remember the answer was given that they either lost all their money or they lost their friends' money. Well, that still doesn't make much sense. Now, let's see that. Yeah. The Depression was in what, 28? Something like that, wasn't it? Yeah. I don't remember the. Okay.
Do you remember how long your lunchtime was?
Well, I don't remember it being an hour, but it might have been. We always had some time outside to play. I would rather think that it was less than an hour, but
What did you do at recess time outside?
well, we always had some ball, you know, and bat. And when it was colder, we ice skated there. Probably played tag.
Did you have any playground equipment?
Well, there must have been a teeter-totter on the playground in those days. And I don't know of a merry-go-round. I can't visualize it that well.
How did your school day end?
Well, you know, to me it was just over. I don't remember.
Do you remember who your teachers were in rural
No.
school?
Don't remember one of them.
Or where they lived?
Hmm?
Or where they lived? Do you remember where they lived?
I don't understand.
Do you remember where your teachers lived?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I would guess so, probably in town, but again, I really don't know that. I have no idea. I know at times they lived on farms, you know, around in those days, but I wouldn't have known that she lived on a farm, with a farmer.
Did you ever remember seeing your teachers outside of the school day?
No.
Did your school have a library?
Well, I don't know. When I talk about that, I think there must have been a few books to read someplace, but I don't really remember, and I don't know that. It'd be hard pressed to call it a library, I'm sure, but yeah.
So if you left in 5th grade, you didn't have an 8th grade exam?
No, because I moved to town in 6th grade.
Would you've had 8th grade graduation?
No, I moved to town in 6th, so I missed that.
Okay. The town school,
all right,
did the
no,
town schools
I
have?
went to Lincoln School here in Cedar Falls in 6th grade.
Okay.
And I went to 6th grade. Then we went to high school, 6, 7, and 8. I don't know, Lincoln School may have been the 9th grade, included the 9th grade at that time. I think it did. Then I went to high school 10, 11, 12.
So you went to school and you were the principal at Lincoln?
Yes.
Okay.
I was taught by teachers that I was principal for later.
Okay. So after graduation from Cedar Falls High School, you went to
And I were married, and we went to California. It was right at the beginning of the war. And let's see, I served from 43 to 46. And I had the good fortune along the way to be assigned to a Lexington, Kentucky, to college they wanted engineers in 2 years there, and I survived the first quarter and got halfway into the next one. They decided they didn't need engineers, or that many.
Was your time at UNI after the war then?
Yes.
All of it, okay. Do you remember community politics affecting the operation of your school?
The country school, no. That would have been over my head.
Okay. Do you remember, was your mother involved at all with the school?
No, although they did have meetings at times. Now, whether they were like, I'm sure it wasn't PTA, but like that a couple times, as well as the Christmas program.
What do you remember about the Christmas program?
Nothing.
Okay. Do you remember at the end of the school day what you had to do once you got home?
Well, I got home, I really don't know, but I'm sure I didn't just go home and sit down. Again, farmers milked on a regular schedule, which would have been around, I don't know, I think 6 and 6 in those days. 12 hours between, and I'm sure I was expected to help there. I don't remember feeding animals. I may have done some of that.
Do you remember any homework at the end of the day?
No.
We've talked about how the Depression affected your school time when you were growing up. Do you remember anything about, and World War II was after this time, anything else happening in the world when you were going to school?
No, see, in a rural school, let's say I went to town school in 6th grade. That's in 6th grade. I can't. Well, that had to be before the collapse of the monetary system or whatever. It'd take me a little while to figure out what year I was in 6th grade. Well, I graduated in 41, maybe I could back it up faster. 6 to 12 would be 6, roughly. 41, 34 wouldn't have about, I'd been in 6th grade about in 34. And the Great Depression started, what, in 28? I think so.
29.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's where I got concerned about people jumping out of windows. I knew I was privileged.
Do you remember any special events being happening at your school? You mentioned the Christmas program. Did you have an end of the year school picnic?
I don't think so.
Do you remember any other ways your school building was used besides just for
well,
school?
I wouldn't know if it were used for polling place even. It may have been. You know, it may have been used for community meetings, but I wouldn't have known that.
Do you remember what your favorite part of the day was?
You know, that's just kind of a word to know.
Do you have any bad memories from rural school?
Sure.
What one you want to share with us?
Well, there was one time when I was spelling and I didn't like spelling at all. And teacher asked me to spell population. Well, I could get along as far as pop, but I couldn't get you. She about had apoplexy, I think. Popu. You know, that doesn't work. And I couldn't come up with you for sour apples. I couldn't have told her my last name either.
Do you have any other bad memories of rural
No,
school?
no,
Just
no.
that one. Do you think there's any lessons we can learn today from country schools?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. You know, I haven't watched the history of schools as it's matured in the last 5 to 10 years or so. I think educators have tried a lot of things over the years and they retry them, you know, as they go along. They haven't experienced them, so I'm thinking things like, we called it platoon system of teaching in junior high. I see that one reoccurred once again. And the fact that for a while there you couldn't group kids by their ability to read or math, and then you can for a while. I don't know. I think, you know, it's in the process of evolving and I haven't found the right stuff yet, or maybe you need something new to do.
Do you think that rural schools had any advantages?
What?
Did the rural schools have any advantages over the town schools?
No. No, there's too many things you need in town school or in schools nowadays. You need all of the electronics and people that understand them for education. You need the things like art, music, phys ed that really are not provided very well in rural situations. Unless you have a teacher that's especially interested in one of those. Chances are that person isn't interested in more than one of them. So I don't think there's much there, and yet I think the history of education is very important. Starting back with the Dane school and how they've evolved through the time.
Anything else you'd like to share with us today about rural schools?
No, I think, you know, we sometimes think that they weren't so good, but if you really look at rural schools and the things that happened nationwide, soon thereafter, a lot of people learned a lot of things in rural schools. You know, there were our leaders later on.
Thank you very much. This has been delightful.